We're 100 days until the start of college football season, but tonight on Tider Insider TV, we've got Nick Saban, Vinnie Sunseri, and an update from the SEC baseball tournament. Tider Insider TV invites you to sit back and relax as we catch you up on the Crimson Tide, and we do it right now.
Go inside the Crimson Tide. Tider Insider TV with Rodney Orr and Carrie Harris.
He was a fifth-round draft pick 2 weeks ago. Now he's signed, sealed, and delivered to the New Orleans Saints. Vinnie Sunseri signed a 4-year contract with the club late last week, and tonight he'll join us on Tider Insider Television. Good evening, everybody, and welcome into another edition of Tider Insider TV alongside Rodney Orr from TiderInsider.com. I'm Gary Harris. Our program brought to you every week by Buffalo Rock. Tonight, Rodney, Pepsi Cola straight out of the fridge, so it should be nice and cold and refreshing. And it is. And it is ready to go, and so are we. Rodney, a lot of football to talk about. It's a jam-packed show, but we begin with baseball. It's our Tuscaloosa Tractor top story.
The best always rise to the top. It's time for the TITV top story, presented by Tuscaloosa Tractor.
Mitch Gaspard's squad finished off the regular season Saturday with a win at home over Mississippi State. And this afternoon, they started play in the SEC tournament in Hoover against the Kentucky Wildcats, 8 and 9 seed. Standing by now from the Hoover Met, we have WVUA's Bradley Woodington joining us with the latest. Bradley?
Well, guys, it's been a rough start for the Crimson Tide. They started freshman pitcher Nick Eicholtz and had a rough time in the first. He walked two, ended on a double play in the first, but it was the second where he would struggle. He would hit the first batter and then walk with the bases loaded. Gaspard pulled him out then, putting in relief pitcher Jay Shaw. He would come in, but Kentucky would still score 2 runs, making it 2-0. In the second. For offense, Bama had the bases loaded in the second with only 1 out, but could not make anything of it. They would come out scoreless there. But in the third, it was Wade Walsh who knocked a double to the wall, scoring Georgie Salem to get the Tide down then 2-1. But top of the fourth, Kentucky came back and scored 2 runs. That made it 4-1, which is where we stand now, going into the bottom of the fifth. Reporting live in Hoover, Bradley Whittington, WVUA Sports.
Thank you so much, Bradley. Rodney, this has been kind of like the last half of the season for Alabama. They had the bases loaded in the second. They had 2 more on just a moment ago. Just can't get those runs across when they have scoring opportunities, and right now they're in trouble.
Yeah, you know, you mentioned it, Gary. Certainly, I mean, when you have trouble scoring runs, you know, it really puts you in a jam. And obviously, you know, they've had runners in scoring position, leaving guys on base. That's makes it very difficult, especially in close games.
And remember the way the tournament works now. If you lose today, you're out. If you win, you are in the double elimination round, but you have to get past today. We'll have the highlights and post-game reaction for you tonight on the news at 10. Well, I'm not sure many college football coaches have had quite as busy a week as Nick Saban did this past week, although that's kind of the norm for him. He made stops in Montgomery for the Crimson Caravan. He was also in Birmingham for the region's Tradition Pro-Am, and he was a speaker and an honored guest for Dick Vitale's charity event in Sarasota, Florida on Friday night. He spoke to the media at every one of those events where the focus always, of course, turned to football, and especially the Tide's new quarterback, Jacob Coker.
Jacob, an older guy, certainly has a little more maturity than some of the other guys that we have in terms of his knowledge and experience. It's going to be a challenge for him. It's going to be a challenge for us, but he's got the right kind of personality and is the right kind of person to do it. So we're excited about having the opportunity to work with him.
And we'll also hear from Coach Saban from his Crimson Caravan stop in Birmingham tonight on the news at 10. He also had the pleasure of seeing several of his former Crimson Tide players fulfill a dream and suit up for their prospective NFL teams this past weekend as rookie mini camps got underway. Guys like Kevin Norwood, Clinton Dix, and C.J. Mosley all got started at camp and had their introduction to the National Football League. Cyrus Kwanjo pointed out to the Buffalo media that he hasn't lost much in high school or college, and it isn't something that he plans on doing at this level either.
I'm a winner. That's what I do. So I come here with the intention to win games. I've been to 2 winning programs. I lost about, 7 games in my life. I know what a winning program looks like, and I know the trends. I've seen trends in a winning program, and I know if I see something that's a little bit off, I'd say something.
Coming up, we'll have an update on a couple of those guys who have signed NFL contracts. So stay tuned for that. Still much more to come here on Tider Insider TV. Next up, we'll talk about one of those new NFL players and actually talk with him. Vinnie Sunseri will join us on the MedCenter Hotline to discuss how his first week as an NFL player went and what he has in store for the Saints as he tries to come back from a knee injury. And we'll be welcoming your phone calls, emails, and tweets. You see the information there on the screen on how you can get in touch with us, 205-348-WVUA. That's 348-9882. Email us, TITV@WVUATV.com, or find us on Twitter, #TiderInsiderTV. We certainly want to hear from you. We'll be right back with the show that takes you inside the Crimson Tide, the award-winning Tider Insider Television. It's good to be former Alabama defensive end Ed Stinson. Not only did he get a ringing endorsement from his new teammate Darnell Dockett on Twitter, but he also signed a 4-year deal worth $2.4 million with the Cardinals. Jeffrey Pagan has also signed with the Texans. And our next guest has signed his first NFL contract. We welcome him to the MedCenter Hotline, Vinnie Sunseri, former Alabama safety, current New Orleans Saints rookie. And Vinnie, Gary Harris and Rodney Orr with you. Just yesterday, I was watching you at Northridge High School, and I mean that. It just seems like it was yesterday. And now you've already come through Alabama, and you're about to be stalking the sidelines in the National Football League. Talk about a dream come true. You're a living case of the American dream.
Well, I'm sorry, you broke up a little bit when I
said
was
just talk about
trying to hear you guys. What's up?
A dream come true. Yesterday, it seems like you were playing for Northridge High School. Now you've already come through Alabama, and now you're in the NFL.
Yeah, it's crazy. You know, I just remember last year I was in seems like last year I was in Northridge, getting to know everybody, getting to know Alabama, and then coming to Alabama, being a rookie, learning all this new stuff, and now I'm in a new place in New Orleans, and it's like a dream come true. It's something that I've been dreaming about since I was 6 years old, and it's unbelievable.
Well, Vinnie, before we get too much into, your future with the Saints, there's a lot of Alabama fans on TiderInsider.com. They wanted me to ask you about, you had a lot of memorable moments at Alabama. I guess the one I'll always remember is when you Manziel'd Johnny Manziel himself. But, you had a lot of memorable moments, and they'd like to know what was maybe your most memorable.
Johnny Manziel was one of the good ones. The most memorable moment for me was when I won that first national championship in New Orleans with my dad. Sharing that moment with my family, being able to spend some time with my dad, and just being on a national championship team with my father was something that I'll never be able to replace or never be able to redo. So that's definitely the best moment I've ever been able to experience in my life.
You had another year here at Alabama. I know it probably had to be a difficult decision for you. I mean, did you waver back and forth? I mean, you're a guy that when you look at it, you probably were going to be a team captain, get your cleat print, your hand print at Denny Chimes. Was it kind of something that you were kind of torn in terms of the decision?
Yeah, I was definitely torn just because of how much I loved Alabama. And, a lot of people are saying that I left because I was worried about playing time because of Landon Collins and stuff like that. And it's almost kind of funny to me because, that's not the reason why. It was a decision for me, my family. It was a decision for me to go out to the next level and become a pro football player and fulfill my dream. It was never about playing time. I knew I was good enough to play and start at Alabama for another year. And for me, it was just being able to fulfill a dream.
Well, now that you're in New Orleans, there's a reason they drafted you, and obviously they saw a lot of things that they like about you. You're a great special teams player. You're a great safety. Kind of talk about the fit, because that's always important. How do you fit for them in terms of defense?
You know what? My fit for the New Orleans Saints is any way that they want to use me. If they want me to be a holder on a field goal, I'll do that. If they want me to be the personal protector on punt, I'll do that. If they want me to be a situational player on defense, I'll do whatever they need. It's a blessing to be a part of a system and an organization like the New Orleans Saints, to have guys like Jarius Byrd, Kenny Vaccaro right next to you, and then have Drew Brees lock her down from you to learn life experiences, and how he handles himself on and off the field is remarkable. So having guys like that around you is unbelievable too.
Vinnie, I think another reason that some people raised an eyebrow when you announced that you were coming out was simply because of the ACL surgery. And you had it mid-season. You didn't have a lot of time to rehab. Obviously, you had a plan. It's worked out for you. I think Dr. Andrews has even said that maybe outside of Adrian Peterson, you've come back from an ACL surgery as fast as anybody he's ever seen. Talk about overcoming that and never losing sight of the fact that you had said, I'll be back and I'll be 100% when a lot of people doubted you. Did you did you ever question yourself in regards to coming out following surgery like that?
A lot of people use ACL as a crutch almost, to lean on it as an excuse. And, I never was able to use excuses. I'm not one of those guys that's blessed enough to say, I can do this because I have all these other things going for me. I'm always one of those guys that's a hard worker and always pushing myself. And when I tore my ACL, I told myself that there's nothing that's going to be able to hold me back. All these people have always doubted me and not believed that I could be the player that I want to be. So, why would I let this ACL hold me back? So I told myself that I would push through rehab as fast as I can and as hard as I can. And it's been a blessing. I've kept my faith through God. And with the people around me, I've been blessed to have Kevin Wilk as a physical therapist, Dr. Andrews and Dr. Kane as my surgeons, the people at API down in Pensacola to do my rehab and get me ready for my pro day. And my mom and my dad and all my family members have been really, really supportive of me, and it's been a blessing. It could have gone different ways, and it could have been more difficult for me. But God's blessed me in a lot of aspects of my life, and this is one of them.
Vinnie, there was a lot of talk that had Alabama made the national championship game, that you were maybe on pace to possibly to play, maybe on special teams. I mean, could you have made it back that quickly?
I'm not sure if I would have made that risk because, I have to think more about my career instead of just one football game. But, the options would have been there. I was able to run by then. I was able to cut. I was able to do multiple directional things. I definitely would have pushed for it. I don't know if the coaches would have trusted me to be out there. I don't know if the coaches would have wanted me to push myself like that. But, I'm one of those guys that I couldn't let my team down. And if we would have been in the national championship game, I definitely would have been pushing to be on the field. It's just the kind of person I am, and just the kind of love of the game I have.
Well, Vinnie, we appreciate the time. I know you're excited about working with Rob Ryan, who has a great reputation as a defensive coordinator, and we know nobody will outwork you. We know you'll be prepared, and we're looking forward to following you in the National Football League. Thank you very much.
Hey, thank you so much for having me, and I always got to say a big Roll Tide to all the Alabama Nation.
I hear you, Roll Tide. Vinnie Sunseri, live from New Orleans. Well, much more coming up on Tider Insider TV. Next up, we'll talk softball as the Crimson Tide is set to host the Super Regional against Nebraska. And if you want to react to anything that Vinnie had to say or talk about anything else, we're welcoming your phone calls, emails, and tweets. Interact with Tider Insider TV right now. So go ahead and give us a call, send us an email, or contact us on Twitter. Tider Insider TV will be coming back right after this. Stay with us. What an NCAA regional for Alabama over the weekend. The Crimson Tide absolutely just rolled through the field. 3 games, 3 wins. They advanced to their 10th consecutive Super Regional. The only team in the NCAA to do that, go to all 10 Super Regionals. Kayla Hunt says that the Tide was focused.
There was not one thing that we were not prepared for. There was not one pitcher that any of those teams had that we had not watched video on, that we had not hit something off a machine that looked like their balls. One of our sayings is preparation breeds confidence. They make sure that there is not a doubt in our minds that we know what we're coming into, and I think that's a test to them.
Great coaching staff, great players. That's how you get the 10 straight regionals. Here's a look at what's next up. Alabama will host Nebraska in the Super Regional at Rhodes Stadium. There you see the times and the television on your screen. Alabama trying to advance to the College World Series for the 9th time in program history. Of course, they won it just 2 years ago. All right, it's time to head to the Med Center phone lines now. First up tonight, let's go to Moundville and talk to John. John, welcome into the program. John, you with us? Going once? Going twice? All right, John's out of there. I know he wanted to talk about the offensive line, Rodney. It's something you've been asked about a lot is, how Alabama going to fill in those holes and put together a good unit.
Right. Well, Cameron Robinson, we've talked about that left tackle spot with Cyrus Kwanjo gone. And, I think obviously Cameron Robinson coming and going through spring practice was really big. It gave him an opportunity to get acclimated. And, you look at the right guard spot with Anthony Steen gone. Leon Brown played that position in the Sugar Bowl. I think he did an excellent job that night. And it'll be interesting to see, if he can hold down that spot. Now, again, we're talking about some guys that are coming in. Dominic Jackson, the #1 junior college offensive lineman in the country. He's a guy, Gary, that certainly could compete for playing time once he gets here, has an opportunity to go through fall camp. And, Alabama has some talented players. They just have to put the right pieces, together. And, the good thing is they have those pieces.
All right, let's stay here in Tuscaloosa and talk to Jordan. Jordan, welcome into the program. How are you?
Good.
Go ahead.
I have a question about the quarterback for Alabama.
All right, what specifically? Do you want to ask something specific?
Do you think he'll be able to carry the team to another SEC championship?
Well, I think Jordan, whoever Alabama starts at center, they're going to be a contender for the SEC championship. Now, who that is going to be, we'll have to wait and see, Rodney.
I didn't hear the question.
He said, do you think the quarterback can lead Alabama to the SEC championship?
Well, again, it's a team sport, obviously, and when you look at Alabama and what they do, they really kind of don't ask the quarterback to do it all. They give a quarterback a lot of tools around them, great defense, certainly skilled players. So whoever is the quarterback, whether it's Blake Sims, Jacob Coker, whoever it might be, they certainly are going to have a lot of tools around them and a lot of great coaching to give them the best opportunity to succeed.
All right, let's get an email in, and this one comes to us in regards to A.J. McCarron from Terry in Moundville. Was A.J.'s relationship with Catherine Webb a distraction to the team? Well, if it was, then that team had some issues. I don't see Terry any way in the world that it could have been. It shouldn't have been. Let's just say that, Rodney.
If it was a distraction, we really didn't see it. When they were 10-0 or whatever it was. I mean, they lost the Auburn game, and anytime you lose a game like that, especially when it's the Auburn game, it's always something. There was suddenly you start having rumors of distraction for this reason or that reason or another. But certainly it wasn't a distraction up until that point, so I really doubt that it was.
Yeah, I agree with you, Rodney. It's funny how things work when you lose a game like that and you lose your hopes for national championship. If O.J. Howard doesn't get called for a hold on T.J. Yeldon's first down run, or if Ari Kwanjo doesn't get called for illegal procedure on that field goal, or if they don't miss a bunch of field goals, get one blocked, have one brought back for it. If Alabama wins that game, all of these things that we talked about, we probably would not have talked about them as being distractions. But that's what happens when you lose, particularly to your biggest rival in one of the most incredible games that we've ever seen.
It was probably more of a distraction for Brent Musburger than anyone else, to be honest.
All right, much more coming up on TITV. 2 more Tide programs are shooting for national titles. We'll update you on the men and women's golf teams after the break. And more of your phone calls, emails, and tweets. In fact, lines are open right now, so you can give us a call at 205-348-9882 or email us or reach us on Twitter. However you want to get in touch with us, we'd love to hear from you next on Tider Insider TV. Stay with us. We're back after this. What a weekend for the Alabama men's golf team. The Tide ran away from the field at the Auburn Regional, winning by 22 strokes. That means they advanced to the NCAA championships this week, later on this week. Coach Jay Sewell says Alabama is talented, but they also win because they have so much quality depth.
Well, we're a pretty deep team. Really proud of Tom last week. Our 5-man finished 3rd in the regional, and so that's what a good team is. It's a deep team. I think our best part of our attribute of our team is the depth and the confidence each guy has in each player.
And the women's golf team is also playing for a national championship, although they did not get off to a good start today in the first round of the NCAA championships at Tulsa, Oklahoma. Alabama through 17 holes, or they're actually tied for 17 at plus 25, so not a good start. But a lot of golf left, and maybe they'll turn it around tomorrow. We shall see. Let's head back to the Med Center phone lines and talk with Dale in Centerville. Dale, welcome into the program.
Dale in Centerville.
Yeah, Dale, you there?
I think he's in Moundville.
Oh, okay. Or Dale, are you there? Dale, are you there?
Muted, okay?
Dale, are you there? All right, let's move on to Joseph in Tuscaloosa. Joseph, are you there?
What's up?
Hey, what's going on, buddy?
Hey, now, people, this is About the running back position, is Altie Tenpenny right next to Derrick Henry?
Do what now?
Is Altie Tenpenny right next to Derrick Henry?
Is he right next to him in regards to what? In terms of playing time?
Yeah.
And I would say right now, Joseph, that Henry's probably ahead of Altie Tenpenny. A lot could change in fall camp, but I wouldn't say that Tenpenny is in line for as much playing time as Derrick Henry based on what I've seen so far.
And again, we have to go through fall camp. Obviously, T.J. Yeldon, the returning starter, back-to-back 1,000-yard rusher. And, you know, Kenyon Drake's back, Derrick Henry. You know, Altie Tenpenny played some last year as a true freshman. I think he's got a chance to be a really good running back, Gary. He just has a few guys in front of him right now. Tyron Jones, also an excellent guy who was redshirted as a freshman last year. So those guys are all really talented, Joseph. But right now, I think I'd have to agree with Gary that Derrick Henry's certainly ahead of Altie Tenpenny at this point.
Thank you, Joseph. Good to hear from you as always. Well, one more segment to go here on the program. Next up, we're taking a look at the athletics calendar for the University of Alabama. We'll also tell you about the 3 newest members of the Alabama athletic family inducted into the Alabama Sports Hall of Fame. Stick around. Tider Insider TV continues on a beautiful evening in Tuscaloosa right after this. Here's a look at the Alabama Week in Athletics calendar. You see all the big events. We've talked about most of them coming up on this week for Alabama. Of course, the baseball team right now in trouble over in Hoover. They trail Kentucky now 6-1 in the 6th. If they lose, they are out, although Alabama will be in a regional regardless. Well, it was a very memorable weekend for 3 of the newest members of the Alabama Sports Hall of Fame. Eli Gold, Major Ogilvie, and Dave Magadan were inducted on Saturday night in Birmingham as a part of the 8-member class of 2014. Of course, Magadan, a great former Crimson Tide baseball player, hit .525, if you can believe that, as a senior in 1983. Long Major League career. We know about Eli Gold. He's the voice of the Crimson Tide. And, of course, Major Ogilvie was our better running back when it mattered most, Ronnie, than Major Ogilvie. When you needed to pick up a yard, he was the guy to go to. He could get it for you.
Yep, and he was a sensational high school running back at Mountain Brook.
Absolutely. All right, dinner time tonight. We're headed to see our buddy Philip Guy, Buddy's Rib and Steak over in Northport. Come out and join us in about 15 minutes. And also, you'll notice, as always, Rodney and I are outfitted with original elephant wear from the Locker Room, a Tuscaloosa tradition since 1964, located on the University Strip. Go by and see them in person or shop online at the Locker Room. I tell you what, they will hook you up and you will feel good when you are outfitted by the Locker Room. You can catch the show anytime on our website, WVUATV.com. For Rodney, I'm Gary. Good night, everybody.